But first, we want to bring you highlights from the most anticipated debate of the midterm calendar. Of course, I'm talking about Mahmoud Oz versus John Fetterman in Pennsylvania. Now, let me just say this. If this had been a boxing match, the referee would have called this in the first 60 seconds. And now, in case you need reminding, it wasn't your run-of-the-mill debate because due to his stroke, Fetterman required special dispensations.
You may notice these large monitors that are behind us. This is part of our closed captioning system. It was requested by John Fetterman to help him process the questions that we are asking him tonight.
But right off the bat, it was pretty clear that Fetterman would need a lot more than that big screen.
What qualifies you to be a U.S. Senator? You have 60 seconds.
Hi. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Well, scary thought. That might have been actually the best moment of the entire debate for Fetterman. One of the most remarkable exchanges was about Fetterman's views on fracking.
I absolutely support fracking. I believe that we need independence with energy, and I believe I've walked that line my entire career.
You have made two conflicting statements regarding fracking. In a 2018 interview, you said, quote, "I don't support fracking at all. I never have." But earlier this month, you told an interviewer, quote, "I support fracking. I support the energy independence that we should have here in the United States."
I've always supported fracking, and I always believe that independence with our energy is critical, and we can't be held ransom to somebody like Russia.
But there is that 2018 interview that you said, quote, "I don't support fracking at all." So how do you square the two?
I do support fracking, and I support fracking, and I stand, and I do support fracking.
Wow. Now, when he wasn't lying, there were these bizarre moments.
The abortion decision should be left up to states, and specifically when John Fetterman...
You roll with Doug Mastriano.
John, when I'm done, John, you'll have your turn, John. I've talked to families.
You want to cut Social Security.
Mr. Fetterman, it's his turn for his closing.
He kept, screaming out random thoughts. That was during Oz's closing statement. So, look, whoever thought it was a good idea to put Fetterman out there, not only tonight, but to run for the U.S. Senate, that was cruel, and it was a total fraud.
Will you pledge tonight to release those records in the interest of transparency? You have 60 seconds.
No. To me, for transparency is about showing up. I'm here today to have a debate. I have run a campaign, and I've been very transparent.
Didn't hear you say you would release your full medical records. Why not? You have 30 seconds.
No. Again, my Dr. L believes that I'm fit to be serving, and that's what I believe is where I'm standing.
Now, for all the talk of ableism in the last few weeks as it relates to Fetterman, tonight was kind of a clear example of it.
Dr. Oz, loves free money when it's a $500,000 tax break on one of his, homes down in a ranch in Florida, and whether it was a $50 tax break, about his farm in Montgomery County. So it's about supporting and helping, young earners, young students to give them a break. I believe that supporting.
Remember all those reporters, by the way, a couple of weeks ago, all rushing to say that they talked to Fetterman and that he seemed totally fine? Well, tonight, I got to tell you, that was all a lie. So my question is, what else are those reporters covering up? The Democrats and the media, they should have been honest with themselves and the voters from the very beginning. But they would rather lie, and they would rather cover up, they would rather hide the ball, and then give the voters the actual facts necessary to help make good decisions about who should be in charge and what policies we should adopt. Look, the only way to stop this, the only way to get the media and the Democrats to tell us the truth is to punish them for their lies. What you saw over the last several months with Fetterman is filled with lies. They have to learn that when they lie to the voters, they will suffer politically. Now, until that happens, the lies will continue. Joining me now is Molly Hemingway, editor-in-chief at The Federalist, and Fox News contributor. Molly, I really do think that's the most important point to come out of tonight. They jumped on that poor NBC reporter, a couple of weeks ago, Dasha Burns, for supposedly skewing what Fetterman's condition really was, or being an ableist about his, stroke. Doesn't this just pull the curtain back on the U.S. media once again?
Yes, when Dasha Burns reported that she wasn't sure Fetterman was fully able to communicate with her without this assistance, she was trashed by other people in the media who mocked her and said that he was totally fine. Those people look horrible right now. They clearly were lying, or they clearly did not know enough to accurately convey the situation. But it does remind you that the media did this exact same operation with Joe Biden in the 2020 campaign. He also was suffering and not able to endure the rigors of a campaign. They lied about it. They protected him. They even kept debates until the very last part of the campaign cycle. And so I think you're right. They'll keep doing it. They keep doing it with all sorts of candidates. I mean, this is not the first debate we've had where we have seen the Republican candidate do a very good job after the media presented the race in a different manner. Before this debate began, Fetterman was really losing ground, mostly on the basis of his policies and his soft-on-crime approach. He already was going to have a hard time and had been losing momentum after this. It's an embarrassment.
Right. Well, Molly, you're right, because they're lying about Biden's condition. They lied about inflation for a year. And now, we see they lied about Fetterman. And by the way, Fetterman's answer to the question on immigration, this is a doozy. Watch.
I don't ever recall in the Statue of Liberty did they say, take our tired, huddled masses and put them on a bus and use cheap political stunts about them. I believe we have to develop a comprehensive and bipartisan solution to address our issue here for immigration here in our nation.
Molly, of course, it's also bad policies that he's advocating for, which is basically just immigration amnesty, which would open the floodgates even more.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of these clips that are so painful to watch of Fetterman, but they were all, this also was, we saw what Mehmet Oz did in his debate where he was putting forth some pretty reasonable, balanced viewpoints. He came off looking very respectable. And so if you are an undecided voter going into this debate, I think you're going to look at the difficulties that Fetterman had and the particular policies he seemed to be advocating versus what Mehmet Oz was saying. And, on all sorts of issues, whether it's crime or the border or inflation or foreign policy, there are a lot of issues that are going into people's decision on how they're going to vote. And I can't think that Fetterman's camp is feeling very good about how it went.
No. I felt sorry for the poor spokesman tonight. So he came out and he basically said, given the fact that he was in the hospital a few months ago, he really took it to the F to Oz.
Actually, Laura,
the worst job in the world.
I do not feel bad for the people around Fetterman. I do feel very bad for Fetterman, but I am actually appalled at the people around Fetterman, that they did not protect him or love him more. He has family members. If this had happened to me, I would pray that the people around me would love me enough to not put me through this. This is very bad for them, for the Democrat Party, and it's an embarrassment to the people of Pennsylvania. They deserve far better than this.
Yeah, Molly, great point. Thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.